Alright, on this video we're going to be making turning stock from this small piece of maple log. As you can tell, it's got some cracks going through it, so first step, I'm going to cut a couple inches off of it and then start taking 1/8 inch slices until I get to until I get to the part of the wood there's no cracks in. So we'll see how this goes. I got a simple little square cutting jig for my bandsaw. Got my tension set up right, and main thing is you want to make sure you got it braced to where it will not roll on you. So for the bracing part, I keep these little wedges here, and that one just broke. Just cut out scrap timber, wedge it there so it don't roll forward, and the back bar will keep it from rolling backwards so we can cut through this block of wood. It's also important to make sure that you got your guides raised high enough that you'll clear everything. But not too high. And if it's shaky, I'm sorry. I'm using the blade guard to actually hold my tripod and my camera. Alright, we got some spalting in this piece of maple, so that make for some nice little detail. As you saw, I cut off the end of it, and then I took a 1/8 inch, or this is actually a little less, piece, and now I can kind of just flex it to see if there was any cracks left. And as you can tell, showing that there's still just a least little bit of crack right through the pith. See, it popped on out. So we'll cut another inch off of it, and I probably won't take another 1/8 inch cut. I'll call that good. Alright, now we'll take a 5 inch piece off of the log. And then spin it around, and I'll take another 5 inch piece. Alright, now that I have taken and made my two 5 inch long little pieces of log, I'm going to try to get a square cross section of about 3 inches. See here, I got 3 inches. So that should get me my 3 inches of cross section. And also you can see here, I have a rough mark for 2 and 3 on my little slide. Now, I'll take and line this up with eyeballing my line with my cut mark. Put my sled back in here. Take my wedge, shove it underneath to keep this piece from wanting to roll into the blade to steady it. So let's cut this blink out. Once I cut a flat here, I'll flip that flat down, cut, roll it, cut to where I'll have a flat against the slide for the rest of the cuts. Alright, there's me a nice square turning blink, and it does still have the piff in it, but for the lidded box, that shouldn't cause too much of an issue. Because after all, lidded boxes is what we want to make or use up small stock for. And I really think that this spalting lines is going to be beautiful in this piece. Alright, I want to cut up the rest of my other blank, and we'll see you on the lathe here shortly. Okay, now we're over here at the lathe, so we need to lay out our center, put our drive center in, put it between centers, turn it around, and put a tenon on both ends before we can start the green wood turning blank roughing process. So, here we go. Alright, I don't use any real fancy center finding device. What I do is just take my dividers and roughly find half of the blank, scratch me a line, scratch me a line, call that good. Come over here to this side, make sure it's still about the same, because like I said, I didn't take no great big cares whenever I was cutting this blank out. Well, I thought I knew where my rubber mallet was. Here's an old lab center I got. It works good to stud the ends in. Find a block of wood here. Alright, now just for simplicity, or however you want to say it, I use one of these drive centers that goes up into my chuck. It's a Nova chuck and a Nova drive center. Before I get too far into it, I'll clean some of this dust out of my chuck. I was turning some wormy oak the other day. Man, this stuff put off some dust. Alright, now close up my lathe covers so we don't accidentally get no digits in there. And I have my lathe on the middle setting, which is 1850 RPMs. And pretty much that's what I keep it on when I'm turning boxes, from start to finish. Quick spin, make sure it's not going to hit. Make sure everything's tight. Alright, let's rough it out. Now, that's one problem with the Nova drive center. You gotta have a little bit more pressure to keep it from spinning, especially in end grain. Now I got this log out of my firewood pile, so it's been drying for about 6 months, but the previous ones I've checked the moisture content on has been about 16 to 20% moisture content, so it's still fairly green wood, but where it's spalted, it is giving me a little bit of tear out, but this is just all roughing. Once it gets fully dried, it should turn fairly easy. Next, I'm going to adjust in just a little bit closer. I'm going to go ahead and define both tenons and decide where I want the middle of my box to be. Alright. Hitting it with my no-go, my go-no-go. Alright, now I dovetailed these tenons. It's not really true dovetail chuck jaws, so I'm going to come back in with a skew, clean up the end grain, and put just a small notch, which will help the tenon, or the chuck jaws, grab the tenon a little bit better. And I also made sure that these were kind of countersunk, so everything bites into the chuck jaws as it pulls together. Alright, now I think I'm going to make this my top of my box and this the bottom of my box, just from the way the grain looks. So I'll part it halfway off with a ultra thin parting tool, and then the rest of the way I'll cut with a handsaw. Like I said, where it's spalted, it is giving me a good little bit of tear out. Alright, now take my drive center out, take the lid of my box, chuck it in, make sure it's turning true, a little bit of that. Alright, now you'll have to pardon me because my spindle gouge is dull and I need to sharpen it. Alright, now you can see I have my tool rest set up just slightly below center, just to where the tip of my tool, when I angle down, will go to center. Now, I have not perfected this method, but I use it. It's the back hollowing method that Richard Raffan also uses. So, bear with me, it's not the prettiest, but it is quick. Okay, what I'm shooting for is a 1/2 inch of sidewall and about a 1/2 inch of lid top, not including the tenon. And I'm gonna call that pretty good. As you can see, it's tapered just a little bit, and I leave a little bit of a dimple in the middle. You'll understand later why I do that in the lid whenever I make the final turning video. Throw it down there. Grab up the bottom of the box. True. It is true. Okay. Now, whenever I turn the bottom, I have to get it over here just a little bit more, so I go ahead and take my tailstock away. Turn that down to where it's out of my way. Now, also, all the friction where you're rubbing that bevel super hard on the inside of that end grain with the back hollowing, I have not found any way that does not cause the flute or the gouge to get very hot. So, it will just about burn you. And I believe we are done. Got a 1/2 inch there. And got an inch probably on the bottom here. 3/4 of an inch. We'll call it good. Alright, we're rough turned. On the cup. Now, got a little bit more of a dome in this one. than I do down inside of here. We'll clean all that up with a scraper and some sandpaper. If you want to get rid of this, we can take and cut that off with a skew, and I think I will before I call it good. Alright, now, even though my tenons ain't the same size, the top and bottom pretty much true cylinder. So the last step in the process for rough turning these, the Richard Raffan way, or as I know it, the Richard Raffan way. Other turners might do it too. But since this is my video review of the book, or my book review in video form of Richard Raffan's Turning Boxes, this is how he done it in the book and the DVD. Put a little masking tape right there. Now, I haven't done this with any spalted maple, but I have done this already with some maple and some ornamental pear tree, and I've had good results. I think they're about 4 weeks old, and they've been drying in my central air cooled house, and I also have a dehumidifier in my basement next to my canning room where I've been storing these blanks at, keeping the moisture content about 35% in the house. Alright, so we've roughed it out, taped it together now. Last thing I do before I put it up to dry, sorry, tape fell off. So I take my moisture meter and I check the moisture content. And it's about 20%. So I'll write today's date on it. And moisture content of 20%. And as you can see, here's one. Oh, sorry. Not looking at the camera. Horrible of me. Here's one that I've already done this with. And on 6/24/18, so that was about 18 days ago, roughly, I roughed this out. At the time, it had a moisture content of 18%. And now, somewhere between 8-7%. And right there, it's not measuring right. So, 8%, all the movement should be done. As you can see, there is some warping in this piece. Oh. But it's ready to be turned into a finished box. So, the method works, or at least with maple it works. It did not crack. So, Richard Raffan was onto something in that book. I'm going to turn this one into a full finished lidded box in the next day or two, and hopefully I'll have that up in a week after this video goes up. So take care, enjoy, be safe out there in your shop, and if you like this video, subscribe, like, click the notification buttons, feel free to share the video anywhere you want to share it. So that's episode 2 of the Richard Raffan book review on turning boxes. See you later.